shouts out to Terence Crawford for retaining his WBO welterweight title last night against Kell Brook. Now, that fight was a pretty, it didn't last long since it was over by the fourth round with a TKO coming from Terence Crawford. But, once again, it was very telling, and it really added another notch in the belt of Terence Crawford and showing why he is pound for pound one of the best, if not the best fighter in the world. Now, a lot of times people like to hate on Terence Crawford and say like he hasn't fought anybody, he doesn't have the resume, which is to a degree they can make a solid, valid point. He does not have the resume under his belt. But with fights against Victor Postal, Yorkis Gamboa, and now Kell Brook, these are good fighters that he has now shown to beat. And Kell Brook is no slouch. This is a very big welterweight. This is somebody who stepped up to 160. At 5'9", with his size and his reach, Kell Brook honestly was even giving it to Terence Crawford in the first couple of rounds. I mean, I had it at least through round 3, it was 2-1 Kell Brook. That's how I had it. 2-1 Kell Brook. But in the fourth round, Terence Crawford came through and put him away, stunned him, hurt him badly. And I think it was after he switched up his stance from the southpaw going more orthodox to fight Kell Brook. That's where he put that's where it really put some damage on the Kell Brook. That's where he really hurt him. And that's it. That's all she wrote. So again, Terence Crawford showing that no matter the size of the opponent, it doesn't matter whoever the opponent is, you put him in front of him, he's going to break him down. Now, here's my gripe with the whole thing and how everything went down. After you seen Bob Arum in the ring, with Terence Crawford, and he had a lot to say about particularly a particular fighter, the number one welterweight in the world, which is Errol Spence Jr. He went on a big tirade on how Errol Spence is scared to fight Terence Crawford, that Terence Crawford will put Errol Spence away just in sooner fashion, just like he did with Kell Brook. Now, that's very disrespectful, and then for that, I think if I'm Terence Crawford, you got to think highly this guy, Bob Arum, don't want you to be great. He just wants to keep you around and keep you happy there with Top Rank and ESPN and just continue to feed you scraps. Now, why would you even go on there, Bob Arum, if you're really wanting a fight like that, resorting to some sort of tactics like that, that's going to budge Errol Spence to want to come out and challenge? That ain't going to work. Al Heyman will make sure that does not happen. If you really wanted to fight with Errol Spence, what you should have done, if anything, is one, not bash him the way you did, but more so kind of heap more praises on the Terence Crawford, pump up the fact that he is ranked in the top 3 of top 5 pound for pound lists, and that the real champion is the WBO title right there. Saying things like that, subtle, but not just coming out directly attacking Errol Spence. At that point in time, even if I was Errol Spence, I'm not giving him that fight, period, point blank. Win or lose, I'm not giving him that fight. Why give money? Why even give somebody like Bob Arum, the opportunity to even win that? Why even bless him that? And when I say win, not necessarily win the belt, but just win the fact that he's going to get some money off the fight. I want him. I'll let him drown out. They're thirsty. Let them stay parched. Let them suffer over there at Top Rank. All the best welterweights are at the PBC. So, that's Terence Crawford. If he knows he really wants that, he really wants to be great, not only will he get the titles, be in the record books, but he can also make way more money with the PBC than what he's getting at Top Rank. He just has to put in the work and promote in the fight. That's all it is. You got to do your own promotion. He needs to cut off whatever he has with Top Rank, sign on over to the PBC, and that fight will be made between him and Errol Spence. Heck, he'll even get the Pacquiao fight sooner if he comes to the PBC, because where is Manny Pacquiao with Premier Boxing Championship? So if Terence Crawford really wants that fight, the Manny Pacquiao and the Errol Spence fight, he needs to cut ties with Bob Arum, head on over to the PBC and prove it. This is going to be the constant that everybody's going to be saying. Now, we're going to see how Errol Spence is, coming up soon when he takes on Danny Garcia. But chances are, like, this is going to be him fighting in over a year. He hasn't fought in over a year coming off the accident, you know? So, and just looking at the whole thing, Terence Crawford is a very strong fighter. The guy packs a lot of power, surprisingly. I mean, people look at the slender build, but he's a very strong dude. And when I look at Errol Spence taking on fighters like Sean Porter, who's equally another strong fighter, he got into a dogfight with him. Now, Errol Spence pulled it through. He used his boxing skills. It helped pull him through, with the short left that dropped Sean Porter in the 11th round. Now, can he do the same thing with Terence Crawford? Most definitely. Most definitely. Errol Spence naturally is a bigger guy. Errol Spence has strength. He has a good chin. So I think he can really take it to Terence Crawford. Now, would he be able to sleep Terence Crawford? Now, that's the question. Because when you look at the Sean Porter fight, that was a dog fight. And, some people may have had a Sean Porter winning, if not for the knockdown. So that's a question that Errol Spence has to ask himself. If he were to get into a fight with Terence Crawford, can he put him away? Because it will be a dogfight. And I think for him to win that, he would need to put Terence Crawford away. He would just need to have to sleep him. And we don't know if that's going to happen. There's a lot of questions in that, especially coming off the injury from the automobile accident. We will want to see how he is against Danny Garcia, and I will even say take on another fight to see how he is, building up more strength, because where he's going to land, where he's going to beat Terence Crawford will be through skill and more so with his strength. He was going to have to bully Terence Crawford, which not too many people can do. Kell Brook, as you can see, was working Terence Crawford with that jab, working him. And Errol Spence is going to have to do the same thing too. And on top of that, use some strength too. And it's going to be tough because Terence Crawford he's a strong dude. But hats off to Terence Crawford, right now, him holding the WBO belt, he's on the pound for pound list, top 3. I mean, some people have him number 1. I definitely have him. If I were to say, on the pound for pound list on mine, number 1 will obviously be Canelo Alvarez. Coming in at number 2, I would definitely have to put Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, just from the eye test alone, he has a strength. He's very aggressive. He definitely is somebody that the fans will definitely love, to come out and watch and see. And if you were to have a better promotional company behind Terence Crawford, there is no reason why he shouldn't be a household name. There is absolutely no reason why Terence Crawford should not be a household name. He's aggressive. He's a great fighter. A lot of people, which is why a lot of people don't even want to take the chance, because not only does he not have the name, but, he has a skill set behind it. He can beat you. He has a power. He's somebody like, I've heard it before, like when you look at comparisons, you could compare him somewhat to a Manny Pacquiao to some regards. Now, he doesn't have the flair that Manny Pacquiao has or somewhat of the quickness, but he does have the aggressiveness that people love to see. And Bud Crawford does have the strength, something that Manny Pacquiao doesn't necessarily have. But, they can run parallel within each other. So I'm saying, rather than the problem with Manny Pacquiao, why he didn't even get the Floyd fight, he stuck around with Bob Arum so long. So Terence Crawford, you got to learn from that same playbook. If you want this Errol Spence fight, cut off from Bob Arum, step on over to the PBC. They'll love to have you. You just got to put in the work in promoting yourself, making yourself a household name, and then from there, the sky is the limit for you. I even say if he steps over to PBC and if he were to beat Errol Spence, he'll be number 1 pound for pound. You could drop Canelo out of there. You put Terence Crawford up there, because he will be the supreme welterweight at that point in time. Because Keith Thurman doesn't want no issue with Terence Crawford. Sean Porter, because they claim that they're friends, he don't want to fight him. And we're not going to even mention all the other ones. But right now, if you look at the negotiation, like we've all heard in every video, Errol Spence is in the driver's seat. He is the A side. Terence Crawford needs to realize that. Despite the fact that he's ranked higher on the pound for pound list, all the belts, all the top belts, the IBF, the WBC, I even believe the WBA, they're all with Errol Spence. He has all the belts besides that WBO belt. Excuse me, he has the IBF and the WBC. All right, Manny Pacquiao got the WBA. But We shall see. All the major belts, or at least three of the four, are with the PBC. Manny Pacquiao with the WBA. Errol Spence got two others with the IBF and the WBC. So if Terence Crawford really wants to reclaim supremacy, leave Bob Arum, fight Manny Pacquiao. He beats Pacquiao, then hey, Errol Spence is right there. And if I'm Spence, definitely after taking on, beating the Danny Garcia, right there and then you have various avenues. You can take on a Manny Pacquiao too, beat Pacquiao after you beat Danny Garcia, collect that belt. Then right there you could just be looking at Terence Crawford and shift it up on him and like, hey, I'm waiting on you. What you want to do? And if by that time Terence Crawford does not come on over, then I'm looking at Errol Spence like, hey, you won this battle, you move up to 154 or start looking towards 160. Simple as that. You take a fight at 154, you beat somebody within that 154 realm of, like, let's say Aristotle Lara, it could even be, you take on a Jared Hurd, but I think more so you take on a Lara. That just seems more of your style, something that you can test your boxing ability, your mental IQ. You beat somebody like a Lara at 154, who knows? Then you could take that chance at 160 and see what's up with a Canelo fight. But that's just a lot right there. Who knows? But definitely, right now, everything is showing to be on Errol Spence's side. He has a greater chance of fighting Manny Pacquiao before Terence Crawford does. He takes on Manny Pacquiao. He beats Manny Pacquiao, collects that WBA belt. Errol Spence right there can shift the table on Terence Crawford and say, I'm waiting on you. What do you want to do? And at that point in time, all the Terence Crawford fanboys need to look at him like, hey, you need to cut it off with Bob Arum and go on over to the PBC if you really want to be great. But all said and done, hats off to Terence Crawford. He did his thing, showing once again that he is one of the top welterweights out there. He beat a bigger fighter in Kell Brook. A lot of his fans, Terence Crawford fans, are definitely saying this is more reason as to why he can beat Errol Spence. But we have to remember, Errol Spence is not Kell Brook. They're totally different fighters. Styles make fights. And even at the end, commentators try to get Kell Brook to decide who do you think will win between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. And that just goes to show you the sheer lack of respect that ESPN and Top Rank has for PBC, for Al Heyman and the PBC, that they will go on national television and try to trash their fighters, thinking that that's going to lure them in to want to fight with them. That type of thinking just needs to stop, all right? And I'm hoping Terence Crawford is smart enough to see that and does not go down the same path and wait until he's much older before he lands a mega fight. But I want to hear what y'all have to say. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I'm out.